Hey guys, Jay here. So GGG just dropped a patch and already there is problem, but I think, at least for me, it's not that big of a deal. Sure, it is a patch. I think the content of this patch note is actually very positive. They actually buff a lot of stuff that are problematically weak currently in the game, which is the loot and a bunch of other things. I think the loot will feel better from all the things that I read here. I will not go into all the details, but overall, I think it is going to be a positive patch. Obviously, right now, there are a couple of bugs that is quite serious, and they have to actually bring down the server to roll back and fix the issue before they can deploy the patch again, hopefully by tomorrow, May 1st. It is already May 1st, my time, by the way, so that's going to be very soon, I think. Anyway, there are a bunch of positive change on the loot drop, obviously, but what I really care about here is really the player change. If you wonder why don't I care about the loot drop, it's because, well, I am someone who really enjoy making like new character, new builds, and playing it to a certain degree. Right now, for me, it is a relatively easy standard, which is being able to clear tier 15, tier 16, deleting Citadel's boss in less than 20 seconds. That is good enough for me. I am not someone who is in favor of grinding for pinnacles all the time, trying to prove anything for the builds that I make here. So often you will not see me doing like pinnacles. Sometimes I do test pinnacles. Most of the times with the build that I feel like it is going to delete the pinnacle, and it actually is. But I think that is kind of boring at the moment, to be honest. It's just a dick measuring contest at this point. So not really something that I'm interested in. So what I'm interested in is builds. And yeah, there's a couple of changes here, but what caught my eyes here is Beira's Anguish. This thing got bug fixed. It is much better than I thought. I thought it is going to be completely remove the interaction between the Beira's Anguish Ignite with Critical, because I think Beira's Anguish Ignite, from all the things that I know about the game before, I think it is considered not a hit and therefore cannot crit. Apparently it can crit. So they actually confirm it here. They would just remove the guarantee crit here, so we still have to have some base crit chance, which I would say that it doesn't have. Initially, it should be like Herald, which is 0% crit. And you can get the base crit chance from the most common thing right now we are seeing is the Malice on the Scepter, which is applying critical weakness to enemies. So with max stack, you will have 5% base crit chance to scale off of, right? So it means you will need to actually score a crit. You either have to scale the crit chance to a high enough number, which I think is really hard actually, because you only have a very limited amount of crit to work with, and I do believe it only works with global critical chance. So spell crit is not going to work. That is my assumption now. Right now we don't have the game, we cannot test anything, but that is going to be my assumption based on the wording of everything in the game. Anyway, why I think Beira's Anguish is going to be fine, because it still can scale from crit damage. They do not nerf anything else. The base damage is still the same, so every Beira's Anguish build out there, including my version, is going to still work just fine. For clearing, we never have any problem with single target, or with clearing anyway. Just for single target right now, it is not guaranteed to score a crit immediately. So what does that change? That actually, first of all, increase the value of the Bijoborn belt, because the lower you can get your duration of the charms to go, which the only way right now is through the Bijoborn's belt, the lower the duration, the faster you can reapply the actual ignite. You can just trigger the ignite from Beira's Anguish again. So that means you have more chance to actually roll for a crit. That is why Bijoborns with high roll is going to be more valuable in my opinion, if there's still a lot of people playing this build. And I do think there will be people who still play this build, because it is a super satisfying, super fun, and off-meta build that seems to actually attract quite a few people. So Beira's Anguish for clear is not going to be a problem. For single target, let's just say we still scale crit, right? So if you still scale crit and you don't have a reliable enough crit chance, you have to do a couple of like refresh, a couple of different triggers to actually score a crit. And when you actually score a crit, there is a way in the game right now for you to actually keep that big ignite all the time, and you don't need to roll for another one. So here, total incineration. So this node is actually insane now. Before, for Beira's Anguish build, most of it passed through this way to go down. And it's 1 point away, 1 point travel for 5 strength or 5 attribute. You go crit, crit, obviously it's very low, but you have a 10% chance to refresh ignite duration on a critical hit here. Because this build always have some form of spells that hit multiple times, which guarantee you to crit in very quick fashion. That means you will refresh the crit like forever on a single target situation. How ignite work is if you apply multiple ignites to an enemy. Right now, there's no way to apply more than one ignite. I think the highest damage is always going to be calculated towards the damage that enemy is taking. So as long as you score one big crit ignite on the enemy, you can always just refresh it. It is going to last for 4 seconds, but every 4 seconds, as long as you score like a couple of crits, chances are you will refresh that. And yeah, I don't think single target is going to be a problem. Obviously, it will feel a little bit more clunky because you have to apply the ignite again and again and again a few times to actually score a crit. But I think the viability of the build is going to be just fine. Sure, it's going to be a little bit weaker and less consistent, but it is going to be fine. Right, so Beira's Anguish, I think this is a necessary fix, but it is a very W fix in the end. They did not just completely gutted the critical damage interaction with this one, which I am very happy with, right? And other than that, there are... okay, so this one actually affects one of my very recent builds. Flash grenade can no longer blind the user or their allies. I am here to guarantee you flash grenade is still going to flash bang the crap out of anyone who plays it. It's just, right now, it does not blind the character in-game. For me, for my build, it doesn't matter because I use Resolute technique, so I don't care anyway. So, yeah, but it's a fun one. I thought it is intended for, like, just making it logical, but apparently, hey, friendly fire doesn't exist in POE2. So, it is what it is. Lightning Bolt, by the way, this thing is one thing that is quite fun to play with. So, Lightning Bolt, there's a couple of versions in the game. There's the one that you can self-cast with a certain weapon. But the main thing that we normally see people use for Lightning Bolt is through the Choir of the Storm Amulet. So that thing got buffed with a lot more AoE. Obviously, it's still not very big AoE, but this is very significant if you think about it. 0.5 to 0.8. This is a 60% more AoE. And it is base AoE, so it scales much better with any form of other AoE. So I think this can be something really fun to just play around with. And in fact, let's just talk a little bit about the teaser of my character that I'm leveling. So I am leveling as a monk. So I am leveling a invoker. And what I am trying to play around with is actually 2 ideas, not just one. So first, I am going to try and see if I can make this thing work. The elemental expression. I am really interested in this one. Why? Because I am a really big fan of how the Spearfield skill looks and works. But sadly, a lot of triggers thing in the game. All the meta skills are heavily based on how hard you are hitting with the hit itself. So a lot of my theories go out the window. A lot of my build theory crafting just completely destroyed. And I think the only thing that's left is this one, elemental expression. It actually just requires one single condition, which is you score a melee critical hit, and you just need to melee critical hit. that is it. Which means I can use Spearfield or any other skill really, but Spearfield hits multiple times if you can scale the crit chance, which is very easy with Tangle Tongue. Obviously, that is a very boring weapon at this point, but I am using Tangle Tongue. I think it is the best way as a spear to scale spell damage because the 4 critical hit actually works with spell as well. So that is why I am going to use that for triggering, first of all, Elemental Expression. Second, Choir of the Storm, so Stormbolt, actually the one that just got buffed in AoE. So I think it will be fun. It will be like a some version of Wild Strike in POE1, which will look very fun in POE2, I guess. And maybe I would trigger a bunch of other things with Cast on Crits as well. Hopefully that it work. But anyway, if you are interested in that build, this is just a very rough skill tree that I just planned beforehand. I don't think this is going to be the final form of the skill tree whatsoever. I think this whole section is completely wasted now that I think about it. The spear note, I don't think I need to take this one. But anyway, that is the first idea. The second idea is I want to play around with elemental sundering a little bit. So I want to use the what is the name of the helmet? I suddenly forget. The Radiance something, the helmet that ignite anything around you. And I think that can potentially create a very fun mapping build and still have some single target because, let me actually show you, YouTube. If I search Elemental Sundering, you will see basically 2 results. One is my concept, which is the one that I am trying to see if I can make, with also the Invoker. I think it is probably the best class to play with it. And then there is someone who showed. Look at this. Look at Dash. That's it. So apparently, Elemental Sundering can be pretty good. Obviously, I think this person, I don't think he is a creator actually.
So here I am, right
just I don't think he is actually like a full-time creator or something. But yeah, he does not really create like a lot of, but there is quite a lot of like interesting stuff we can find randomly on the internet. So Elemental Sundering apparently have very high potential for single target. Obviously, I don't know his gear. It seems like his gear is insane, but regardless, I think it is worth trying in my opinion, and I will see if I can make a reasonable budget version of it with the money that I have. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. I hope you do enjoy, and if you do, please consider to leave a like and subscribe. If you want to look at something like cool, come visit this guy, Shehan Thai. I think that is how we pronounced it. But anyway, again, like and subscribe. Peace. Stay tuned.